Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about some people have regular jobs and also Doordash. Doordash driver shuts down critics who tell her to get a regular job. You know, it's amazing to me how many people will treat you like absolute garbage in the name of get a real job. You can see some of the comment sections on some of my videos, and when it's not a driver, it's a customer or some rando person going get a real job, or criticizing tipping culture or whatever that may look like. And this person apparently shut them down. So with that said, I want to go over everything that's being said in this article, what they tell you versus how it actually is, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. The phrase get a real job is often lobbed at positions that are devalued for working adults, such as working in food service or retail. In the era of food delivery, it is a phrase that many DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers have heard before. You know, that's very true as well, and I gotta give food service workers a lot of credit for this. I know retail has got its own positives as well, but specifically in food service, some people give you the hardest time just over a sauce or a straw or whatever. Sometimes the food takes a third of a second more and they give you a hard time. Speaking as a driver who has literally seen other drivers shove phones in faces, I get it. You guys go through a lot. Does it justify how some food service workers treat us? No, but they do go through a lot. And I feel like any job or any gig that people are like, get a real job for, they are like some of the most miserable people to be around overall. And 9 times out of 10, they're hating on you for the sake of hating on you, and they don't even have it that great themselves. One DoorDash runner, Chelsea, at Finnandquinn, has to answer for such critics. Food delivery is a real job. The poster has previously gone viral, explaining which orders may be advantageous for dashers to decline. I'm going to leave her TikTok as well as her profile in the description so you can develop your own opinions on the subject. Now, in terms of specifics and like the inner details of gig work as a whole, technically it's not a real job. You're more in business for yourself than you are a employee. But in terms of a real occupation, absolutely, it is a real occupation. Do I think it's a long-term goal? Not really, just because of the nature of how these accounts work, but we all know that's not what these people mean when they say get a real job. It's a job, she says, that many folks may take on to supplement income made at a typical full-time job, as well as the one that is flexible for many purposes, such as needing to work around the schedule of others or being a working parent. Yeah, a lot of single parents actually not only do this to supplement their income, but they will also do this and bring their kids along with them. I've had people in my comment section actually say, I've actually brought my kids along and they've had a great time doing so. Some kids actually go viral, be like, hey, I'm picking up a DoorDash order, and they're like, they hire at 14 now? You shouldn't do that because that jeopardizes your account, but yeah, that happens. She says that some folks who choose to work for DoorDash may not be able to work for a regular job. Most of the time, Chelsea adds, it is not sustainable to constantly take non-tipped orders when factoring in time, gas, and mileage. It's not only non-sustainable to constantly take non-tipped orders factoring in time, gas, and mileage. It's also not safe for you either. Half the time, no-tip customers also rate you badly. They are genuinely dangerous to be around because sometimes they end up going into the worst neighborhoods and sometimes even trap people for other reasons. And they could also cause account violations. Contract violations, account notices, depending on what app you're using. It is genuinely irresponsible to work with people like that. But I gotta tell you, the way they structured the first and second sentence of that paragraph, some people who choose to work DoorDash may not be able to work a regular job, but at the same time, it's not sustainable because of time, gas, and mileage. I feel like that's intentional. Like they were trying to say, oh, this is what they do, but here are the downsides of it. Typical media BS.
They like to be respected by the customer while doing DoorDash. Most customers are not disrespectful. You have to understand that we only take orders that is appropriate for our time, gas, and, mileage. That's just kind of the concept.
Yeah, this isn't like a restaurant where a waiter or waitress can't really say no. There was one comment on another video that actually was like, oh, waiter or waitresses have the right to refuse service. Yeah, but they're not gonna get away with it with most managers. Some managers will be cool with it, not all of them, and quite honestly, it is irresponsible to expect that. When customers do not tip, Chelsea says it negatively impacts food delivery drivers because they are not paid in regular wage in conjunction with tipping. I mean, we get a base pay, but that base pay doesn't really equate to much either. Name one person who would be okay to take 9-mile orders or 10-mile orders for $2.50. Hell no.
They're doing a service and they have to make a certain amount of money with their time. So if you're not tipping, they're not going to take the order. They're not going to make enough money to be able to survive. That's the whole point.
That's true too. Like, if we took no tip orders, the expenses would eventually eat at us, and not only we would not be making money, we would end up losing money long term. Multiple viewers shared that they and their loved ones not only had full-time jobs, but they also work food delivery apps like Doordash, Grubhub, and UberEats to supplement their income. Which is actually kind of normal. Those are the part-time workers that are most of the time working at the evening shifts, but they really could pop up at any period of time during the day, even weekends. My husband works 5:30 to 3:30 at his job, and we Uber Eats after he's off because life is expensive, one commenter wrote. I would actually say both of you should have your own separate accounts, but do what you want to do there. And yeah, people are starting to feel the effects of inflation, and it's really not coming down on our side. In my area, there are some gas stations that are jumping 20 cents at a time, and we don't even know why. I am ARN and do DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Instacart on the side. Another said, vacay and extra money is great. Hey, look, some people just want to do this so that way it's easier to pay their bills. They don't want to have a long-term goal like YouTubers, something like that. They have a career that they're happy with, or whatever happy looks like. And then they just want money for vacations and just extra money in general. I have a part-time job and deliver with Uber Eats, a third commented. I started to work with Uber Eats because I needed the extra money to pay bills. Most minimum wage jobs don't pay enough to keep up with expenses. Facts. And not only that, with being a gig worker comes a lot of tax benefits, such as writing off some of the expenses that it would normally take to be a gig worker, or to repair your car, or to just pay for your phone bill. Unlike something that is like a W-2 job where they tax you already, and then all the money that you made, you have to pay your bills with. Making $50,000 as a gig worker and making $50,000 as a W-2 employee are two different worlds. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. Everything she said here is just spitting facts. People have regular jobs and also DoorDash. That's 100% true. People who criticize you for doing gig work and say get a real job are just people who hate for the sake of hating, and they're not even worth the time and energy half the time. And not to mention all of the strikes that are happening right now for these real jobs. Like, really think about this for a second. There's a writer's strike going on right now, but get a real job. There's a actor's strike going on simultaneously with the writers, but get a real job. UPS is about to go on strike, but get a real job. There are numerous other occupations and other unions that are about to strike in unison to fight for their rights as employees for their company, but get a real job. The amount of TikTokers who complain about a lot of the aspects of their job, and they hate it, and the people that they work with, the management, everything, but get a real job. Or we could be a gig worker, maximize the value of being a 1099 independent contractor, build a business on top of this so that way we are not dependent on gig work long term, and we can have the freedom we actually want and not have to rely on real jobs, but get a real job. Now, there is the argument that a 1099 independent contractor is not a W-2 employee, and yeah, you're absolutely right. That still doesn't change the intended purpose of somebody saying get a real job. They're saying our occupation isn't valuable enough to be considered real, but yet you use the service. Like, what kind of backward special needs logic is that? All in all, just ignore the riffraff. Ignore the people who choose to treat you like garbage. Because at the end of the day, this is a common comment that every gig worker gets at some point, especially if they're on social media. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.